Hi, my name is Jennifer Bensinger. I am a pediatric physical therapist. I would love to be with you guys in person, showing you a little bit about what I do in the pediatric world, and also introducing you to my son Logan, but you get me on video instead in my home office. So I wanted to give you guys just a little bit of medical history on Logan. My good friend Kelly came over and did the pediatric evaluation on him. He doesn't perform quite as well for me, so I thought it would be better to have an outside source do the actual evaluation. Normally, Kelly would ask me some questions about birth history and about some of his therapy sessions, and we would kind of role play in that aspect. But due to some time constraints, we decided to just do the evaluation while we could, and then I'm going to give you some of the background on Logan's case. Logan is my fourth child. He was born at 37 weeks, 5 days gestation, and during my pregnancy, I was told that he had a lot of complications in utero. His body was full of fluid, and they thought he may have hydrops when he was born. They could not ensure me that he would be born alive or that he would live much past birth. So we did lots of ultrasounds when he was in utero. We were followed very closely and monitored very closely by a lot of specialists at Children's Hospital. When he was born, he was taken by emergency C-section because he was not responding to any stimulus. He did have a heartbeat when he was in utero, but they couldn't get him to move or respond at all. So he was born via emergency C-section. When they took him out, he was not breathing. They had to resuscitate him immediately on the table next to me. He had APGAR scores of 1 and 2 at birth, and he was taken immediately to the NICU at Children's Hospital. He was born at Missouri Baptist and then transported to Children's Hospital. Upon delivery, the doctor did tell me shortly after that they noticed he could quite possibly have Down syndrome. They saw some signs that led them to believe that was a possibility. So they did do the genetic testing as soon as he got to Children's Hospital. He was in the NICU for 32 days. He was on a ventilator for 2 days and then on CPAP for I think 10 days total. And then he was on oxygen until about 3 days before he came home. His biggest concern was that he had trouble eating. He just got so tired he couldn't take a full feed. So he actually came home with an NG tube, and he had that NG tube for about a week at home. So he was tube fed or NG tube fed until about 40 days of life. Let's see, additional things. He wears glasses. He does not have them on during the evaluation because he can see close up. He can't see far away. So he often does not wear them around the house. Hearing is okay at this point, although we do have it checked yearly. He has no concerns with thyroid. He had a small ASD and I think that was it, a small ASD, small hole in his heart when he was born, and that closed within the first 6 months. He had a little bit of reflux through his kidneys, but that completely healed on its own within a few months. The only surgery he has had is he had an undescended testicle, and they repaired that around 3 months of life, just a very small outpatient surgery. He received early intervention first steps for the first 3 years of his life. He did not walk until he was almost 4 years old. He was about 3 years, 9 months when he began walking completely independently. He went to early childhood at age 3 and went to the early childhood program for, 3 years, and then he started kindergarten. He is now in 2nd grade. I guess I should have noted that his birthday is 8/10/12, so he just turned 8 a few months ago. While he is attending school, now in 2nd grade, he just went back, actually today, this morning, was his first day back after all of the COVID shutdown. But in an ideal, perfect, normal world, he does receive OT, PT, and speech when he is in school. He has a special ed classroom that he goes to for a lot of his services, but he's a really smart little guy, and he is reading at like a level D or E. So he's gaining some great skills there. In the past, we've also done some aquatherapy. He loves to swim, loves the water. We also did quite a bit of horseback riding, hippotherapy. When he was around 2 and 3 years of age, we received a grant to do that, and I do credit a lot of his strengthening to the hippotherapy, and I also feel like that's about the time he started walking independently. He used a reverse K for quite a while when he was working on walking, and gosh, I think he probably used that for over a year to get around in his environment. Let me think what else. He does have braces. I believe you will see them in a few of the videos, his orthotics. We have gone different routes almost every year with orthotics. There's been a time where he just had 2 smaller orthotics, 2 SMOs. There's been a time where he's had some 2 AFOs. He has done a hinged knee brace before. So I feel like we've experimented with a lot of different orthotics. As you can see at this point, he has 1 AFO and 1 SMO, and you can kind of look at his gait pattern, and you can look at his alignment. We do get a lot of hyperextension in both knees, but I hope I'm saying it correctly, his right leg appears to get more hyperextension, and that's why we went with the AFO. And oh goodness, I missed, I think the biggest part of his whole birth history was that when he was in the NICU, he did have an MRI. When he was born, he was not breathing, like I mentioned, and so they were concerned that there was some brain damage. And when they did that MRI, it was on day 10 of his life, and they found that he did have some substantial brain damage in the white matter of his brain. So he is diagnosed with Down syndrome, but he is also diagnosed with PVL, which is periventricular leukomalacia, and it is damage to the white matter of his brain right down the middle. So that does cause him to have some neurological deficits. He has overcome quite a bit of his deficits, but you will see that he does have a little bit of a limp. He has a little bit of a leg length discrepancy as well, and we don't know if that is structural or muscular. We work to help him balance out that leg length discrepancy as much as possible, but despite lots of different tests, we really haven't quite gotten to the bottom of how to best fix that at this point. I think that's all I have to tell you about Logan. He's a really fun little guy. He's got a great personality, and he's really funny. He's also really stubborn, and I think Kelly does a phenomenal job of doing the evaluation on him, and he does a really good job of showing you guys that it's not always super easy to get kiddos to do exactly what you want. So enjoy.